Hey guys, and welcome to another GameXplain discussion. I'm your host, Derek Bittner, and I'm joined today by Ted from Brain Scratch Comms and the great Clement to discuss the reveal of Sonic Boom Fire and Ice for the 3DS. So let's get started. So, guys, can't say we expected this anytime soon, especially after the beating that Sonic Boom received last year. The comic's been canceled for whatever reason. The games did not sell that great. The only thing that seems to be successful about Sonic Boom is the cartoon, which I watched a little bit of, but I haven't really been keeping up with. But I keep hearing it's pretty consistently good, at least entertaining for kids. But yeah, apparently that's enough to have Sonic Boom Fire and Ice, which is, for the 3DS and following the same gameplay as Shattered Crystal, which personally I'm okay with. I liked Shattered Crystal. I thought it was fine as a game. Maybe not perfect as a Sonic game, but as a simple platformer and changing around and having a little bit of speed, having some exploration, I liked it. But what do you guys think about all this?
The funniest thing, I think, in this whole thing is on the Sonic Tumblr page, they posted a picture of the splash art that they have. And one of the tags underneath is, "This is going to be better than the first one, I promise," or something to that effect.
That's amazing. It was definitely like... It's funny, for the past few weeks, I've been following a whole bunch of Sonic news sites, and there's a lot of speculation. People keep hearing things about, like, a Sonic Mach 2. Like, that phrase has come up quite a bit, and, people are wondering if there's going to be a PS4 X-Bone one. People are wondering, like, all these kinds of things, and no one assumed that Sonic Boom was getting a sequel. Nobody had any kind of inkling that, like, oh yeah, that game that didn't sell 1 million units combined with Rise of Lyric, oh yeah, that's totally getting a sequel. And then it's just, I look on Twitter and it's like, Nintendo UK announces that, like, oh, Sonic Boom's coming to the 3DS. I'm like, what?
I thought it was like, when I first saw the news, I was like, oh, they're doing like a TV movie or something? Nope. It was a game. But real quick, let's get our actual opinions on Shattered Crystal. We don't really need to talk about Rise of Lyric because that really doesn't apply here. As I said, I liked Shattered Crystal. I thought it was fun enough. I enjoyed my time with it. It had its issues, and it did things here and there that was okay, but I think the overall basis of the game worked. But what about you guys?
I thought Shattered Crystal, while a lot better than Rise of Lyric, I thought it was pretty much still in the same category that I thought Rise of Lyric was in, I thought it was kind of like average, kind of middle of the road, not good, not bad. It was just sort of a game that I played, and it was alright. I guess I'm going to be a very small minority that thinks Rise of Lyric was not like the worstest thing ever, so I just want to get that out of there. I thought it was like a 5 out of 10. I thought it was like a 4 or 5 out of 10. Like, yeah, it's not a good score. It's not a great game. I wouldn't go back to replay it, but it is what it is. And Shattered Crystal was just a little bit above that, in that I found I didn't really like that there was this road blocking you off from the other levels where you had to go and collect the items. Like, it was a very item exploration kind of game where, you start off with Sonic first off, and when you only have Sonic, you can't 100% complete any of the levels until you get the other 3 teammates, because only Styx can use her boomerang to activate these switches, only Knuckles can dig through these parts to reach certain spots, only Tails can fly up to something with the wind turbines and everything, and is like, his submarine minigame thing where you sent that little boat into that thing. So it took a while for the 4 characters to get unlocked, because I actually had to replay the first level in order to get a whole bunch of emblems in order to reach Knuckles in the first place. But once I got the first 4 characters, I started exploring the levels a little bit, and, with Sonic it's a little bit hard, because sometimes you move super fast and you're bouncing off springs and whatnot, but you have to sort of explore every little thing, and if you go to a point of no return, you'll probably have to replay the level because you missed out on an emblem or you missed out on a blueprint or something, and that kind of got, like, it was one thing that was kind of holding it down the whole emblem collection thing. Like, I wish it didn't have that whole system in general. Like, if there were bonus things to unlock, sure, like concept art and stuff, I'd be fine with that, but I think it'd be better as a straightforward, just kind of platformer. And it was a little bit repetitive, because there was a lot of the same kind of things that you were doing over and over again. There was a lot of, you have to chase the tunnel worm in the tunnel, and you have to dodge all the lasers, and you have to race a certain rival character. Like, now you're racing Styx, now you're racing Shadow, now you're racing Metal Sonic and stuff. And so there was really only one boss fight in the game, and that was like Lyric at the end of the game.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was okay. I didn't think it was unbearable. I didn't think the controls were bad. I actually liked homing attacking guys and swinging on the things with the laser whip. I thought that was really fun. That reminded me so much of Castlevania 4. And I really got into the rhythm of that stuff. I thought the platforming was fine. The platforming was good. I just wish the game itself was a little bit more... it's just a little bit more convenient for me,
I have very little experience with Shattered Crystal itself. I think I played the demo, maybe. I'm also with Clement here in that I also did not find Rise of Lyric to be the worst thing ever. Again, because of just game reviews in general, for some reason 5 out of 10 has the same reaction as what a 3 out of 10 should be, I think, whereas 7 is average now instead of 5. But yeah, I found it a very 5 out of 10 game that I probably wouldn't go back to. But I also, there was a worse way to spend my time, I guess, is the best way I could have put it.
Little kids can still enjoy Rise of Lyric, I say.
Yeah. When I was a kid playing, my parents bought me a ton of licensed crap for my GameCube, and, I remember, liking that an awful lot less than I liked Rise of Lyric. So, you can do worse. And I know that's not like a ringing endorsement or anything, but
we're not saying you need to buy the game or anything.
Oh, God, we're not staunch defenders of it. We're just sort of saying it's not as bad as people are making it out to be. Yes, you can break the game, but I always found you sort of had to go out of your way to break the game. I never really came across any natural glitches just during my regular playthrough, which is why I just thought it was kind of meh, When
it comes to Rise of Lyric, I think it was the discovery of the Knuckles glitch that really kind of caused a lot of this stuff. I think if that had been patched... Well, I think it did get patched, because Rise of Lyric got a 2 gigabyte patch, 4 months after release, which was weird. But, I think that was the one that led to so many other ones. If that had been caught, I think it would have been a lot... The whole, brokenness of it probably wouldn't have been brought up as much. But when it comes to Shattered Crystal specifically, I don't have too much experience of it, but from what I've seen in, gameplay trailers and everything like that, Fire and Ice looks to play pretty similarly to Shattered Crystal, so I'm not sure how interested I'm going to be in it. If Sega's right and it is totally better than the first one, I might give it a shot, but something about the Fire and Ice kind of thing, that's got to be one of the most overplayed kind of tropes in the book, really. The first thing that I thought of actually was, did any of you guys play the Spyro GBA games? Because they had a fire game and an ice game there too, and I was just handheld spin-off of a fledgling of a once popular franchise using fire and ice as a as a gameplay mechanic. It seemed a little bit too similar to me, and hopefully it's better than those games, because the GBA Spyros are awful.
I never played them.
They don't.
I remember the GBA Crash games being pretty terrible. So
yeah, they weren't good.
Yeah,
you're very right. The whole Fire and Ice concept is really not that creative. It's sort of just about as standard as you can get. I mean, the big thing here is that they did add Amy, as she is a full playable character this time around.
She's
which is
a
good.
new playable character. You've never been able to play Amy before.
Not in Shattered Crystal. That's great and all, and of course each of them will have their own little additions. So basically you have I want to say 15 different playstyles, the 5 with characters with their standard attacks, the 5 characters with their fire attacks, and the 5 characters with their ice attacks. So that actually does provide a lot of variety. It's just a question of whether or not they're actually going to do anything interesting with it. What's notable is that, Clement, you mentioned the races and the tunnel sections, and the fact that there weren't many bosses. And already with this trailer, we see that there's no sign of the tunnels, there's no sign of races, and they showed off 3 bosses right off the bat that are huge. And I actually kind of like the one boss that pulls out a straw and starts blowing bubbles that you have to dodge.
Yeah, that was fun.
That's really creative. It really shows that. I hope they're going for that same kind of humor that the TV show has. If they can manage that and maybe even infuse that into the gameplay, I think they might, just on likability, maybe have people enjoy the game that much more, because I don't know, that's creative. I don't really remember seeing that with a boss before. I kind of like that idea. I do have a fact sheet here from Sega that sort of says what they're going to be trying to do this. Basically, that it's Dr. Eggman again, along with a new supervillain called Defect, D-F-E-K-T. I have no idea. Oh, Defect. I just got that. Oh, my God.
Man.
You look at it and you just don't realize it quite as much. So, all right, we got a fun villain that just, you're already having some fun with him. It's not like
our
Lyric.
villain's a defect.
Yeah. You're fighting the glitches of Rise of Lyric.
We will prevent Knuckles jumping.
So bets on when Defect pushes Eggman out of the spotlight, because if you look at the art that they showed, Eggman's like pushed over to the corner, like, hey guys, I'm in this game too, and it's just all these robots in the background. So I'm pretty sure he's gonna I don't know if they're gonna do something like Rise of the Lyric, where Eggman will just kind of like be there but not really do an awful lot, or if like he'll just kind of, I don't know. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that Defect's gonna be the main villain of the game, and Eggman will just kind of be there because he's Eggman, and if he wasn't there, the game would be an awful lot less funny, probably.
Well, that's actually a very interesting point, because of course Defect's going to be the main villain. They're going to keep that going, because that's just the way modern Sonic it typically is, outside of a few exceptions.
I don't know why, though. Like, we only have 3 Boom games, and like, it's been Lyric and now Defect and not Eggman. Like, why?
I don't know. Here's the crazy thing: Eggman didn't even appear in Shattered Crystal.
He had like one line in a computer monitor, and you didn't even see him in the computer monitor. It's like you're about to race Metal Sonic, and then Eggman just sort of comes in through a computer monitor saying like, Metal Sonic, go after them, and that's it. Because he's not the villain of the story. It's Lyric. Mm-hmm. So Eggman shows up for one non-visible cameo.
Okay.
So already his role is just increased tenfold just by even being a side character in this.
Yeah, just being in a cutscene makes his appearance much bigger than Shattered Crystal.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, but they actually did list a couple of the other things that the game will have. One of the things they did point out in this fact sheet is that players will be able to run through the game at top speed, or take their time with deeper exploration and puzzle play. So it really seems that looks like they might have taken that criticism to heart and really let players decide whether they want to fully explore everything, or actually just take the time and or just blaze through it all. Another thing they're introducing is something called Bot Racing, which is a supplemental game that's, they say, both tied to the single player and actually has multiplayer gameplay. It's all about racing and speed, which, who knows, it's probably just a kart racer type thing. It's hard to say exactly how it's going to all turn out, but it does seem like they're taking the criticism to heart and maybe trying to improve a few things. Whether or not it's still going to be any good, well, that's up to us getting our hands on it.
Yeah.
One thing that I actually noticed during the gameplay itself in the gameplay trailer that they showed is that they had a little fire and ice button on the bottom screen next to all of the different playable characters. I'm guessing you tap in order to change them, but like they had a mode where like Sonic was in ice mode and he created like a little ice bridge over the like a spike pit, I think it was, or something to that effect.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm sure that'll be used in puzzles and things like that, but I'm kind of wondering if that's like an unlockable thing that you also get, like unlocking extra characters, or if you're just like, I don't know, like zapped with magic, ice, and fire powers at the beginning of the game, and boom, you have them. Boom, you have them.
I thought it was kind of funny how the ice cubes had fire symbols on them, as if we wouldn't know to burn the ice cubes with fire.
Yeah, I guess it's for kids. That's really all you can do, because one of the things they did point out in this fact sheet is that it is the #1 program on TV among boys 6 to 11 and 9 to 14 in its time period. So they are appealing to younger kids.
And the thing about Sonic Boom is that it's actually a really good show, and the problem is I wish this negativity of the games didn't overshadow that, because like the show is good, and you know, I assume like 5 years from now people are going to remember the show fondly, but nobody's going to really care that Shattered Crystal or Rise of Lyric happened, and it's like, just maybe Sega shouldn't have released games. That was like the worst PR they could have done for this show.
You know what I think it is? I think it's just, you know, being a Sonic fan, and you know, we aren't 8, we aren't 14, we're 20-something-year-old dudes who still play games starring a blue anthropomorphic hedgehog.
I can't escape.
Yeah, and you know, we have all of this baggage, we have all of this perspective of, you know, of Sonic's, you know, long and very turbulent history. And, you know, a lot of these kids, you know, I have to imagine, like, an 8-year-old probably turned on Sonic Boom one morning, liked it, and kept on watching it. You know, I'm sure that they know that he's a video game character, because kids aren't that oblivious, no matter what people will try to tell you. But, you know, like, oh, he's in a video game, that's nice, and then they'll keep on watching the show, because that's just what they like. So... yeah, I don't think, like, you know, all the negativity that we're getting right now, this is all people who play the video games. This is all people who are in their 20s and their 30s who've been playing Sonic, you know, since Dreamcast, Genesis, whatever. It's not the kids that these games are actually targeted to. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I think that's mostly it. It's Sonic fans have tunnel vision that a lot of other people don't have, just due to their experience with it.
I think they're trying another game, and they're just going simple because since it's only on the 3DS this time around, because, you know, there was, as you said, there was no good buzz around Sonic Boom when it first came out. But since the cartoon is doing so well, now the people had gotten into now the kids that have gotten into the TV show, well, now they have a game that they can go out and play based on it that's newer and more exciting and has all the characters and, you know, is something for them. I mean, let's remind ourselves, there actually are kids out there who grew up with Shadow the Hedgehog and Sonic Heroes, and while we might not like those games as much as, you know, the other past games, they really do like that because they grew up with it. They just clicked with them, and, you know, that's how that goes, is because that's how Sonic's been able to continue all these years, because new kids keep getting invested in him and just sort of stick with him. And I don't know, I can't be cynical about this, because again, I did like Shattered Crystal. The guys at Sanzuru Games are extremely nice people. They you can tell they have a passion for this, and I think that this is going to be a step up from Shattered Crystal.
That's what I'm hoping. Like, the only thing I really think would really help improve the game is, like, if they just made the item collection toned down, which you've said that, you know, apparently we can just speed through the levels now this time, and that items is just sort of like an extra part. If that's true, that will instantly make the game a lot more enjoyable. It may also be more enjoyable if, like, all 5 characters are available right from the start, so you don't have to work up to getting Tails or Sticks or Knuckles. Like, if they're all available right from the get-go, like, that would be a great, like, launching point so that you can get 100% item completion, like, right off the bat. And yeah, if now that there are bosses, it seems, if the bosses are tight, if the levels have a good flow to them, and if they bring back Richard Jacques for the soundtrack, the soundtrack should be great too. So I actually think it could have the potential to be a great game. You know, there are games where I didn't really like the original, but I liked the sequel, where, like, Donkey Kong Country Returns, I'm probably going to have a lot of people disagree with me on this, but I didn't think Returns was all that great. I played Tropical Freeze. I loved Tropical Freeze. I thought Tropical Freeze was way better than Returns. So I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt, where I found Shattered Crystal kind of average. I thought it was kind of but maybe Fire and Ice could be good. And I'm not going to instantly dismiss it just because, oh, Sonic Boom is in the title, and it's based off the Sonic Boom universe, you know? Like, I'm a Sonic fan, I want to give these games a shot, I am a fan of the series, you know, so...
Yeah, I'm basically in 100% the same boat. Like, I haven't played Shattered Crystal, I have very little context on that, but, you know, the gameplay footage I see, it doesn't look that bad, you know? Like, obviously, the trailers are designed to make you want to play the game, but, you know... It doesn't seem to play anything like Rise of Lyric, which, you know, is the game that people really seem to have problems with. Like, whenever somebody talks about, you know, Sonic Boom, the game, they're talking about Rise of Lyric. I hear almost nobody talk about Shattered Crystal, and when they do, it's either it was okay or So, the fan reaction, in typical Sonic fashion has been, I believe, a lot overblown when, they're just looking at the title and then not actually taking the time to look at the gameplay footage, which looks pretty okay. So, I'm going to keep my eye on it, for sure. And, if reviews look good, I might pick it up. I'm not going to dismiss a game just because the previous ones were bad, well, quote unquote bad. We're not going to go down that road again. Actually, the extremely negative reaction that people had to the Boom games, I think, puts more pressure on them to make this good, because not only do they have their lessons learned from the previous games, they also know that in order for people to take this game seriously, they really have to step up their game, which, in this case, I think it's good. They can't slack off. So,
Yeah.
I think I'm going to keep my eye on it, and hopefully it turns out good.
And again, the thing I liked about Shattered Crystal was the platforming and the laser swinging and stuff. That was all tight to me. Like, the only problem I had was everything surrounding it. Like, I actually thought the gameplay was solid. I liked fighting the badniks by whipping their shields away and homing attacking them, and the Lyric boss fight at the very end was kind of fun, Like, if there's just more of that, that should be a fun game.
Yeah, and I actually enjoyed the races a lot. The tunnel gameplay was okay, but the races were a lot of fun. It was almost taking the Sonic Rivals gameplay and sort of perfecting it, because I had a lot of fun with that. It was interesting. I liked getting a good flow and going on like that. So if they can pull that off for regular normal levels, if you decide not to explore, I think we could have something interesting here. I think we could have a definite improvement.
That's actually a good point. The races in Shattered Crystal were better than the races in Rivals. It was already a better Rivals game than Rivals, so...
So what's interesting is, as we're talking about this, Sega just released some gameplay details about Fire and Ice. One of which actually deals with what we were just talking about, which was the exploration. And they actually have said in here they're going to tone down the exploration and reduce the length and size of the levels. Essentially, what they're going to try to do here is have a linear path through the middle of the level with exploration happening above and below, so things are less confusing and more compact. So all the collectibles actually do just unlock stuff like characters and bonuses. So it's pretty much what you were hoping for, Clement, and we basically just got confirmation.
Yeah, that's a great thing to hear. The other thing I liked was the fact that they said they were reducing the levels. I thought the levels went on quite a bit in Shattered Crystal. Like, they would go into like the 10-minute, 15-minute mark because you were exploring everything and stuff. Mm-hmm. If the levels are going to be a little bit more shorter and condensed, then that could really make it feel more like the other Sonic games too, where like you can get through a level pretty quickly. So yeah, just the fact that we don't have to explore instantly is going to make this a better game.
The only thing that I find interesting is that the straightforward path is the one in the middle route, and normally when I'm playing a 2D Sonic game, I try to go for the high route because that's usually the fastest one. So like that'll mess with people. It's just like, oh, I'm gonna do a Sonic game, and then they go in the high route, and then they're like going in circles for like an hour. That'll be pretty funny. But just generally speaking, I think that this is a solid approach. It's good to have. It's good to have a game that can appeal to a broad audience. In this case, you want to make it appeal to Sonic fans because they're the ones who are going to be buying your game. But you also want to do your own thing and add in some exploration elements, which I think is good too. I'm not sure how I feel about there being kind of like this is the speed section, this is the exploration section part of the level, but I'm sure that with some smart level design it won't feel like it's chopped into 3/3, if that makes any sense. So I think that this is overall good news.
Yeah, it really does sound like it. I mean, that way people know exactly what they need to do in order to get through a level in the way they want to. I mean, I'm more of an exploration kind of guy, so I know what I'll be doing. But
that being said, it should still be there. And like one of the best things about Shattered Crystal was you would constantly unlock all these wacky trophies. Like, every now and then I would make a Miiverse post about, like, the wacky trophies, and everyone following me who doesn't play Shattered Crystal was going, like, what the heck? Like, there was, like, a Knuckles biography, which is, don't call me Smashles. And one trophy was, like, a snake taco, which was literally just like a snake in the middle of a taco. So like a lot of the trophies were weird, and I guess if people want to explore, I'm sure they're going to get some really funny stuff like that again.
Yeah, I have a feeling you're right, because those trophies were pretty great and just kind of random, but you kind of just have to love it. And it does make me hopeful to see them, like I said, taking criticism and fixing up where they had their issues. We also got some more details on how many islands will be in the game, so essentially worlds. We got 7 islands, 6 of which are going to be the normal type of gameplay, and each of those 6 islands will feature 4 levels and 2 bonus stages. And the bonus stages could be anything from Tales of Submarine to classic half pipe or a tunnel with in the same vein of Sonic 2, stuff like that. And then the 7th island is actually called Thunder Island, where it's basically where you'll be focusing all your 2-player local play options, but it's also where you'll be doing this racing that we talked about, where you between Eggman's bots. And but let's go over the fact of the islands first before we get into the bots. So what do you guys think about basically the size and how much there is to do?
The islands thing, I guess it just sounds like zones to me. Like in Shattered Crystal, you also launched to like different islands. Like the hub world was broken off into islands, and then Sonic would like sort of lasso himself to the next island. So it just sounds like more of that, which is fine. It's a spiritual successor. I get that. But yeah, it sounds like it should be full of good content.
Yeah, 7 worlds seems pretty standard for a game like this. I do like the fact that, toning down the size of the levels doesn't necessarily mean that the game has less content. It just means that it has less padding, which is, a good thing in my book. So
it definitely seems like we're going to be getting probably a 5 to 6 hour game. Maybe a little bit longer, maybe a little bit shorter. Who knows?
At least for our first playthrough, like, a standard just play however you want kind of thing. I'm sure that, if there's as much exploration as they're talking about, it'll probably stretch out the gameplay. But that's kind of what I like about Sonic games, is that they're very replayable, and you can kind of make them as long as you want them to be. So it seems like it'll probably be a good length for what it's trying to do.
Yeah. And, well, let's talk about these bots, because this actually does sound kind of funny, because the whole goal of the bots is basically that Eggman has found a new element called Ragnium, which he makes into fuel. His then goal is to make bots that are faster than Sonic in order to humiliate Sonic. In order to mine this Ragnium, he creates Defect, who we talked about earlier. And Defect basically it was supposed to harvest Ragnium for Eggman, but he harvests everything except Ragnium. So all the bosses that we saw before actually are created from the stuff that he just pulls together and whatnot. But I guess Eggman still goes ahead with his plan to humiliate Sonic, because you can actually race all the bots, and if you beat all the all the bots in the game, you can unlock character bots, and those can be used to race against friends in local play. And so I can sort of see now how they were talking about how it's both single player and multiplayer, and I don't know. It kind of feels fitting for Eggman, Boom Eggman, because he is sort of just pettier, but also kind of friendlier with Sonic. So I don't know. I think it works.
I wish I had gameplay footage, because I really don't know what to make of this. I don't know how the races are going to perform. I don't know what this video is going to like. I don't know what the screen's going to look like. I'm very it would be nice to see some footage of it, but it might be fun, or it might be just a thing we forget about and not use ever. But
Yeah, there's a lot of like 2-player stuff in Sonic games that I barely touch. Like, does anybody turn on Sonic Adventure 2 and play the go-kart minigame? That was great, right? Right?
Well,
no? Okay then. But yeah, it looks like it'll at the very least be a fun distraction. I don't know how many people will be like, "Hey guys, let's play some Sonic Boom Fire and Ice multiplayer." But I do like that they're putting it in there, because a lot of the times you play the multiplayer modes in these kinds of games that just feel sort of like filler, and they end up being a lot of fun. So it sounds like an interesting concept for a game and for a multiplayer mode, and hopefully it ends up like I'm feeling very optimistic about the game as a whole, which is strange considering everybody else's reaction. But you know, it sounds pretty cool from if you actually look at the details. So
yeah. You know, it probably won't be anything that special. I'm like, in my head, I'm sort of imagining something more along the lines of RC Pro-Am, or maybe just a regular card game or something like that. My hope is that like you'll get commentary from Eggman the entire time, and that could really make the
that'd
mode...
be amazing.
Yeah, that'll make the mode shine that much more. So, I don't know. It's interesting to get the details and see where it all goes from here, but it's looking solid at the very least. It's, you know, there's a basis here that could be it could lead to a good game. All right, guys, any final thoughts?
Calm down.
It's okay, Sonic fans. Chill out. I think Shattered Crystal was average, but I think this one, it sounds like it's going to be a vast improvement. At least the social media of Sonic is joking about how it's going to be better than the first one. So, I'm a slave to Sonic, so I'm going to buy it anyway, because I always do, because my life is a lie. But either way, I hope it's good, and it can only go up from here as far as I'm concerned.
Pretty much. So, you know, as you said, lessons learned, and I think they will take those lessons to heart, and I think we're in for a better product. I really do. So, alright guys, I think that covers it for our Sonic Boom, Fire and Ice discussion, so thank you guys for watching, and if you like this video, be sure to like us on Facebook and Twitter at GameXplain. And Ted, where can they find you at?
I'm a member of Brain Scratch Cons. We do a number of video game commentaries. We've done a lot of Sonic, so if you want to hear us ramble on more about this blue guy, you can go check those out. So.
And Clement, what about you?
You can find me on YouTube, you can find me on Twitter, Miiverse, PlayStation Network, Tumblr, whatever, at ClementJ64.
Awesome. And, you know, he might be a bit of a Sonic fan as well. Who knows?
I'm also one of those optimistic Sonic fans, so you've been warned.
A rare breed.
I've heard legends.
Of course, stay tuned to GameXplain for more on Sonic and other things gaming too. Until next time, guys. Bye.